We hope that you've enjoyed the tour of San Francisco's Victorians thus far. Now we'd like to look at what the future holds. Can sustainable technology be adapted into the old homes? And will a modern San Francisco hold on to and preserve the historic homes? Let's take a look.
The Victorians, have this bad press that they're these stodgy old people locked in the past. And what we've really discovered was when this house was built in the Victorian period was an age of innovation and discovery.
A house like this can accommodate change pretty well. And when we realized that solar power was the future, we decided that because our roof is a flat roof, it was an ideal candidate to put up solar panels. So we did that about almost 10 years ago now. And most of our electricity is produced by our house, which is fantastic. We've also been dreaming about a gray water system, which, because there's a coal pit in the basement, it can be repurposed into tanks and a pumping station so that we could actually move gray water from our house to the gardens that we have throughout the side of the house. And we've noticed that as we thought about changing the house, pulling out old growth mahogany and lath and plaster walls is actually more ecologically inefficient than leaving it in place and having it go to the dump. Sheetrock and other modern materials are actually more harmful than lath and plaster and wood.
I'm very interested in potentially having an all-electric house, so eliminating gas. That's something the city of San Francisco has really been looking forward to the future in terms of making the city a bit greener. Also sort of looking into modern heating, cooling, what can be done efficiently, making sure the lighting is efficient, so looking into LED lighting, looking into alternative energy sources. There's a lot of open questions. And then there's some things for safety, so making sure sprinkler systems are up to date, that plumbing and electrical are all functioning and working well. And it is a really cool opportunity to sort of bring in new technology and innovation in an older home.
I believe the Victorian architecture of San Francisco is very important to be preserved. It represents the end of the Craftsman era when people actually handmade everything and took pride in their work. The buildings were built out of old growth redwood. You're never going to be able to get trees that are that old again to build such sturdy buildings. And they represent a time capsule of history that, it's important to see. There was good and bad in the Victorian era, but it's important to document all of it. And these houses stand testament to that era, which was an age of excess, but yet it existed, and these homes are a true testament to that era. I feel very honored to have been the caretaker of this house over the past 34 years, and hopefully I'll have another 20 to 30 years here myself. I feel that this is one of the more important Victorian homes in San Francisco because of its very rich history, both with the two original owners, the Russian consulate that was here from the 1920s through the 1940s. Its important aspect during the African-American period of the house being used as a rooming house and famous jazz musicians here. It played a key part in the development of the hippie movement in San Francisco and is documented in the book, The Electric Kool-Aid Acid Test. I feel that this house is an important part of San Francisco history. I've been very blessed to be the caretaker of it, and I hope it will stand for several hundred more years for people to be able to appreciate its past. Well, when I pass away, I would like this house to go to San Francisco Heritage to become a house museum such as the House Lilienthal House. I've discussed it with my family. The house today is worth $5 million, so it was a sacrifice for my family to let me offer it to San Francisco Heritage. And I have been in talks with them, and they would like to run this as a museum when I pass.
are important. They're a piece of our history. This home is a piece of San Francisco's history, and people have been enjoying looking at these homes from the park. And in fact, looking at almost every San Francisco home has a really rich history, beautiful finishes. And I think it's important to sort of keep the city looking beautiful and in this very, quintessential San Francisco way.
I really hope that the one accomplishment I've had in this house is that I've made it livable for the modern era, such that there's no excuse anymore to get rid of the old stuff. I think sometimes people come into an old house and they see all this old stuff and they don't know what to do, so they just sort of start from scratch. But I think, with the kitchen remodel and the bathroom remodel and just sort of making this a nice modern home, that hopefully somebody will see that and it will continue to stay the way that it is for, the rest of its existence.
I think old houses are very important. They preserve our history and our cultural traditions, and they tell us how people lived before us.
My biggest hope is that people who get it will enjoy it. I hope that they feel a desire to preserve the essentials to it. Everyone will make a different wallpaper, for example, but I hope that they would keep the layout and the structure more or less the way it is now, and learn that it actually it's quite livable and quite enjoyable, and it was a little bit non-standard, sure, for right now, but it wasn't before, and I hope they keep it so that people later can see that there was a different way of living and a different style, but it was viable.
I guess basically I'm a nest builder. Some people are, and some people aren't. All of the 50 years I've been here, I'd hoped I could find someone that would share it with me the way I wanted, and that never came about. Nevertheless, I built the nest, and now I live in it by myself for the most part. I like the Victorian feel of living. And I like the roominess, the size, the high ceilings. It's all part of the experience. I have an heir who I've known since he was 17 years old and who actually lived here for a while when he was in college. He worked on the house and he loved it when he worked on it, and he will inherit it. I don't have any family to inherit, so I've chosen him as a person to take it over. I kind of hope the place lasts another 100 years. There's no reason why it shouldn't. Earthquakes and so forth beside the point. This house has already survived all the earthquakes that we've had since 1889, so it's expected to survive the rest of them. I've always loved the place. I've spent nearly 50 years working on it. It's not finished. There's always something more to be done on the Victorian house. And I hope to live to see it done, but I probably won't.
Thank you for joining us for a glimpse into some of San Francisco's most fascinating interiors. And we hope that we've inspired you to either join the Victorian Alliance, to donate to some of our grants programs, or to start a preservation community of your own. We hope the future continues to value what the past has worked so hard to save.